My name is Rafael Bonachela. I'm the artistic director of Sydney Dance Company, also a choreographer. And I'm the choreographer for our next production, titled To One Another, which will open on the 13th of March at Sydney Theatre. As a choreographer, I have always been interested in human behavior and also in relationships and in emotional and psychological states. And saying that, I will also say that my work is non-narrative, but it comes from stories, and it also comes from memories, and it comes from experiences of the people that I work with. So from my stories, and also the dancers, and then my collaborators. So for To One Another, I really wanted to go deeper into that idea of relationships and also relating to one another, which is where the title comes from. For To One Another, I decided that I was not going to commission the full score of music. That was one of my first thoughts, that I wanted to explore working with existing music. Saying that, I have commissioned a quarter of the piece of the whole score, and it's composed by Nick Wiles. There is another thing that I wanted to play with at the beginning of the process of making the work, which was working with a poet, Sam Webster, who is also from here, from Sydney. I had come across his writing accidentally, and I really enjoyed the way that he wrote about dance, in a non-dance perspective. And I wanted him to come into the room and to write whatever came up instinctively, and to do with what he was seeing, the movement, the relationship between the dancers, how we were relating to one another. And then it was very interesting because he would write and write and write, and then I would have a look at it, and also there was a lot of interaction between the writing and then the dance. I also gave some of the writing to the dancers, and we had to interpret that through movement. And we kept going backwards and forwards with different ideas. But one of the concepts for To One Another, and one of the decisions that I made at the very beginning, is that all the inspiration had to come from within the room. So I wasn't going to be looking at books or at DVDs or at anywhere else for an input in inspiration. We were gonna generate it in that room, and that's why I decided to bring an element of writing into it.
Rafael came to me and asked me to be involved in making the poetry sections of the work, collaborating with a poet called Sam Webster. It was really interesting because Sam Webster watched the dancers and then created poetry from the pure movement. And then that poetry was handed to me to then incorporate into some transition pieces within the work, to give some sort of meaning to the work, to use words in the work as part of the overall structure. It was a really nice idea that it all came quite organically from the dance itself. As the time went on, Rafael and I were listening to pieces of music that he liked, and I was offering other suggestions, and there was a to and fro between the selected music, found music that Rafael had chosen. Over time, we both realised that the work needed a kind of drawing together of all the disparate elements to tie the work together, to bring the concept home in a way. And so Rafael asked me to compose a longer section of music, not just the transition pieces. So at the halfway point of the work, there's a 15-minute piece that comes in, and it's sort of a build section, quite a climax with very electronic sounds, but also a mix of classical and more classical sounds. When approaching the music for To One Another, I was really conscious of the other pieces of music in the score. There's a Baroque piece, there's a Renaissance piece, there's a piece by a Spanish sound electronic artist called Murkoff, and it's a real mix of, like a fusion of classical and more soundscape in a way. So when I approached composing my section of the work, it was important to me to really fuse ideas of classical music with more contemporary ideas of electronica. There's a really aggressive part in the music that I've written, and it incorporates a lot of the dancers yelling. I recorded dancers actually yelling into the microphone these phrases that Sam had made. And the first time I saw it, it was really, really exciting because the dancers are really dancing it full out, and it's very aggressive, and it's about two people almost fighting or coming to a head in a way. And it's this sort of section of confusion. It's about confusion when human relationships go into the unknown. Where are we going to end up? When you're arguing with someone, it can be quite irrational. So I tried to bring that into the score, and after a while it kind of resolves and has a big climax and sort of cathartic moment that opens up into a big abyss for the final piece of music in the work.